Money saving expert Martin Lewis recently said this about the lifetime ISA.
If you've never owned a house, put a quid in a lifetime ISA.
But what is a lifetime ISA? What are the pros and cons? What's the difference between a cash ISA and a stocks and shares ISA? And how much of a deposit could you build if you started saving today? Well, we're going to answer all of those questions so that you can start making the positive first steps towards buying your first home. So let's get into it. If I gave you £1,000 for free each year, just as a reward for saving £4,000 in that year, you'd probably snap my hand off, right? Well, that's what a lifetime ISA offers. With this account, you can save up to £4,000 a year and the government will top that up with a 25% bonus for free. It's an account specifically designed to help you buy your first home, or you can use it to save towards retirement if you've already purchased your first property. But the other benefit of this is you earn interest on all that money in the account, and as it's an ISA, all that interest is tax-free. There's a lot of free money flying around here. The basics of the account mean that it's open to anyone aged 18 to 39, and you can contribute into this account up until you're 50 years old. There are restrictions on the property that you can use this bonus towards. Primarily, the property value has to be under £450,000, and that's applicable across the UK. And you can redeem this bonus towards a first home once you've had this account open for a year. You can't access or use this before that year has passed. Or if you are saving for retirement, you can access that money once you hit 60 years of age. So given the fact we get a 25% bonus on anything we deposit, we get interest on anything we deposit, and we also get interest on the £1,000 bonus that we get each year, let's model out an example to see just how much deposit you might be able to save if you started depositing into this account at 18. Government data shows that the average age of first-time buyers in the UK at the moment is 33 years old. So if you started saving at 18, what sort of deposit could you have by the time you get to 33 if you just utilised a lifetime ISA? After 15 years of saving, you would have deposited 60k into this lifetime ISA, and the government would have topped that up with 15k of additional bonus. For the purposes of this model, we'll use a conservative interest rate of 3% over the course of this 15-year period, so 3% interest each year, which means by the time you get to the age an average person is buying a house at the moment, you will have a deposit of 100 grand. The current average deposit that a first-time buyer has is 61k, so with that 100k saved up, you'd be well above average and on your way to buying your first home. Now, the average house price in the UK is currently just under £290,000. So if we take this 100 grand and look at it as a proportion of that 290 grand, you'll have a 35% deposit. Now, a 35% deposit will get you some really strong mortgage rates because mortgage providers always look at the proportion of deposit against the value of the house when deciding the mortgage rate that they can offer you. And as expected, the higher a deposit you can put up, the lower the interest rate that a mortgage provider would offer is going to be. So that's a pretty compelling case as to why you should open a lifetime ISA, right? But let's just go through some of the top pros and cons so that you get a balanced view of what this account can do for you. So obviously one of the big pros is that you get this 25% bonus from the government for free just for saving up £4,000 a year. And this is normally added 4 to 6 weeks after you've deposited any money into your lifetime ISA. So if I deposited £100 today, in 6 weeks' time, I'd get an extra £25 added to that account by the government. The second big pro of this account is that the 25% bonus is also subject to the interest rate on your account. So if you deposit £4,000 in a year, you get £1,000 back in bonus, and let's say you had a 5% interest rate, that will apply to the whole 5 grand, not just the amount that you've deposited. Obviously, the amount of interest you get depends on when you deposit and how long it's been sat in your account, so it can accrue that interest, but you're still benefiting from compounding gains over the 15-year period that you might be saving up. And just for clarity, you might not need to save for 15 years, I'm just using that as a rough guide. The third pro of the lifetime ISA account is that if you're buying your first home with someone, either a partner or a friend, you can both use a lifetime ISA account to fund your deposit for this home. It is worth noting that the 450k property valuation limit does still apply even if you're buying together. But this is another great way of just increasing that deposit amount that you'll be able to put down on your first property. And the final pro is that if you end up not buying a house for whatever reason, that money can also be used for your retirement. Although there might be better ways for trying to maximize your pension, but that's a topic for another video. So what are some of the cons of the lifetime ISA? Well, you have to be a true first-time buyer. That means you can't have owned a property anywhere in the world. Now, I suspect for most of us that's not going to be an issue, but if you're lucky enough to have a holiday home in Tenerife, I'm sorry, this account's probably not for you. The second limitation of this account is that the property that you buy must be in the UK, cost under 450k, and be where you plan to live. So you can't use this to buy a holiday home in Tenerife. If you can't tell, I need a holiday. The third drawback of this account is that you can't use the bonus from a lifetime ISA until you've had that account for 12 months. So if you're looking to buy within a 12-month period, this account isn't for you because you're not going to be able to benefit from the 25% bonus. But the final big con that you need to consider when you're looking at the lifetime ISA is that there's actually penalties for withdrawing money out of this account. And where this gets confusing is that the penalty is 25% on anything that you withdraw. So you might be thinking, well, I get 25% bonus on what I put in, so surely if I take that money out, all I'm doing is losing that 25% bonus when I withdraw the money. That's not true. If you deposit £4,000 into the account, you'll get £1,000 in bonus. That's the 25% amount that we've talked about. That gives you a £5,000 total. But if you then try to withdraw that £5,000, you'd face a 25% penalty. And 25% of 5,000 is £1,250. So not only are you losing the £1,000 bonus that you've gained, you're also effectively paying £250 to access your own money. Now, a lot of people have been lobbying against this, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the future this changes, but for now, unfortunately, this is the penalty that we have to deal with. So now we've seen the pros and cons of this account, let's look at the two different types of lifetime ISA that you can get. The cash ISA and the stocks and shares ISA. But before we do that, if you're already getting some value from this video, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It makes a massive difference to me and helps me continue making this kind of content. But back to it. If you're looking at a cash ISA, this essentially works the same way as any other savings account that you're probably used to. You'll get given an interest rate for that account, and that's the amount of interest that you'll expect. A lot of the time, these are variable rates, so these may fluctuate depending on Bank of England interest rate fluctuations, but you have a lot more assurity. That's not a word. But the actual interest rate that you get is going to be a lot more predictable than what you might get with a stocks and shares ISA. A stocks and shares ISA differs from a cash ISA because you're essentially investing that money, and the interest rate is based on the gains that those investments make over the period of time that they're invested. As with investing, there's potential that the interest that you'll gain over the set period will be higher than you would get on a cash ISA. But there's also a greater level of risk, and of course your investments could go up as well as down, so you may end up with less than you've actually put in the first place. So how to balance these two options up? If you're starting at 18, you're going to be saving into this account for at least 10 to 15 years, then potentially a stocks and shares ISA might get you better returns than a cash ISA would over that long period of time. However, if you're looking to buy in a shorter period of time, a cash ISA is probably going to be more beneficial because you know exactly what kind of interest you're going to be getting back on your deposits. The choice really is dependent on your circumstances and level of risk, but hopefully this gives you a bit of a guide as to what the differences in these two types of accounts are. Most providers will also offer you the choice of either a cash ISA or a stocks and shares ISA. So providers such as Moneybox, Tembo or Plum are three providers that currently offer quite strong cash ISA rates if you're looking to go down that route, but also offer a stocks and shares ISA product as well. Now, I know some people out there will still have a help to buy ISA and might be wondering whether they should stick with that account or look to move it into a lifetime ISA. This is certainly something that I looked at about 6-7 years ago and ended up moving across from a help to buy to a lifetime ISA. But that's not going to be the right move for everyone. So what are the key things that you need to consider if you've got one of those accounts? Well, I think the number one thing that you need to establish before making this decision is what is your timeline for buying a home. With both of these accounts, there's restrictions on how much money you can deposit in each tax year. So you're not always going to be better off if you start moving money over into your lifetime ISA. If you're looking to move money from a help to buy ISA to a lifetime ISA, just bear in mind that you can only move £4,000 in a tax year. So if you've got more than that in a help to buy ISA, you're going to have to wait a couple of tax years before you can move all of that across. Now, if you've maxed out your help to buy ISA and you've saved 12 grand in there, that's going to take you at least 3 years to get all that money across into a lifetime ISA. So if you're looking to buy before then, there's no point doing it. Definitely don't switch to a lifetime ISA from a help to buy ISA if you're looking to buy within a year. because the lifetime ISA has this 1 year restriction before you can use that money towards a first home. One of the restrictions of a lifetime ISA that a Help to Buy ISA doesn't have is that a lifetime ISA can only be used to buy your first home, and there are penalties for withdrawing money to use for another purpose. That isn't the case with a Help to Buy ISA, and you can withdraw that money without any penalties. So if you think you might need this money for an emergency fund, then maybe a Help to Buy ISA is the best place to keep it for now. However, there are a couple of big benefits from moving that money across from a Help to Buy ISA to a lifetime ISA. The first is that the property value limitation is different across the two accounts. From a lifetime ISA perspective, you can buy a property up to 450 grand anywhere in the UK. But from a Help to Buy perspective, there's a limitation of 250 grand, but that does go up to 450 grand if you're buying in London. So if you're outside of London and likely to be buying a property over 250 grand, you're better off moving that money across to a lifetime ISA to ensure that you can make use of a bonus. The other smaller benefit of the lifetime ISA compared to the Help to Buy ISA is that you get the bonus when you deposit the money rather than at completion. As I mentioned earlier, this means that you get interest on the bonus that you have in that account. So you'll be making an additional small amount of money on that bonus that you wouldn't be doing in a Help to Buy ISA. The last benefit of a lifetime ISA is that you can achieve a bigger bonus than you can with a Help to Buy. With Help to Buy, you have a limitation of £12,000 that you can deposit into that account, whereas in a lifetime ISA, there's no limitation. You get the bonus for as many years as you want up until the point that you buy a home. So essentially, if you're definitely going to buy a home for less than the £450,000 maximum, you're not over 40 and you're going to be saving for at least a few more years, then you're going to be better off moving that money into a lifetime ISA than keeping it in a Help to Buy. So hopefully this gives you everything you need to know to make a decision on whether a lifetime ISA account is right for you. And if you've gained value, please do like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll hopefully see you over at this next video. I need to book a holiday to Tenerife right now.